Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. This is Mary Esther Miranda Gilbert, the founder of the True Health Mastery Institute of Holistic Personal Health Management. And tonight I will be talking about alopecia. And you will be surprised at just how much the scientists have uncovered about what it takes to grow hair back. And it has been astounding. So I cannot wait to share it with you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and show you what I have for you. Okay, I'm going to enlarge it just a little more so you can see it better. That ought to do it. Okay, all right, so hair loss and the botanicals that show results. And this is going to be a comprehensive scientific review. So you're going to be seeing the best of the research that's been found about the subject. Okay, so let's go ahead and just introduce it a little bit in case someone out there doesn't know what this is. It's balding, basically, androgenic alopecia or AGA. Now, there's going to be a lot of abbreviations here, and I just, it sounds redundant, but I just have to put it in there so that I can remember what these abbreviations are, and it'll help you also retain the information better, okay? All right, so hair loss, it's known as androgenic alopecia or AGA, and it actually affects different age groups, both males and females. So this applies to both genders. Conventional treatments like minoxidil and finasteride are widely available, but there are adverse side effects, including scalp irritation, sexual dysfunction, increased prostate cancer risk, and a whole host of other problems that I will show you tonight. This is a summary of a comprehensive literature search that I'm presenting to you, producing a scientific review of all these different botanicals that have been examined by the scientific community that have actually shown results for restoring hair loss. So there's all kinds of studies, clinical studies, just randomized controlled trials, in vitro studies where they study just the cell cultures in the laboratory, studies involving human participants. So these cohort studies that go on over periods of time, animal models. They've used a lot of animals in these studies, and also reporting outcomes related to health, growth, density, thickness, and quality. So these are the personal experiences that people report on also. Okay, so the review, the scientific review did not include studies that focused on hair loss because of chemotherapy or other medical conditions that cause hair loss, and also non-herbal botanical treatments for hair loss. So the peer-reviewed studies that were gathered for this presentation does not include these here. All right, so ongoing research continues to produce positive results with a lot of promising safety and efficacy. Now, that is very important because the prescribed drugs have a lot of different side effects, and you do not want to endanger your health any further, okay? So various studies have demonstrated the potential of combinations of botanicals and herbals. Okay, so here are just a handful. There are more that I'll be telling you about tonight. So these are what some of the scientists have come up with. Saw palmetto and beta-sitosterol. They improved the hair density in men that had AGA. Also, green tea extracts. This actually was a topical application, and so it improved the hair density and thickness in women with pattern hair loss. And also, scientists looked into pumpkin seed oil. And they said it has a blocking action of 5-alpha reductase, which is an enzyme that converts the hormone testosterone to dihydrotestosterone. Now, that's the hormone that you do not want concerning, hair, which is associated with hair loss. So after administering the pumpkin seed oil for 24 weeks, there was an increased hair count compared to placebo. So they're looking at, the scalp analysis under the micro world, looking at how many hairs were actually on the scalp per square inch. So I thought that was really interesting. So here I'm going to give you a quick rendition of some of the botanicals that have been discovered by the scientific community with enough studies to warrant a peer review study. So peer review study, as you probably know by now, if you've been following my channel, that it's a gathering of the most credible types of scientific studies on any given subject. So I will show you the different botanicals that the panel, of peer reviewers were able to gather together. Okay, so rosemary has been one of the main herbs that have been applied on the scalp for regrowing hair. And here, just, a couple of bullet points here. A study of 100 participants treated with rosemary oil lotion or 2% minoxidil. So they compared the rosemary oil with the drug to see what the effectiveness was. And it looks like the rosemary oil treatment had no side effects, unlike the drug, and was just as effective as the drug in promoting hair growth. Also, rosemary enhances the microcapillary blood flow to the scalp, increases circulation to the scalp, has an inflammatory and antioxidant properties, aiding in preventing disruptions in hair growth. So when you have an antioxidant, then you're preventing a lot of the degenerative process that goes on in the cells because of other outside factors or even stressors within the body. So a topical application of rosemary leaf extract improved hair regrowth after 5 weeks in mice. Why do they use mice or other rodents? Because supposedly their metabolisms are similar to humans, which is hard to believe. But they use those animals for that very reason. So they actually had to induce, an extra amount of testosterone in these little animals, which, if you're like me, I do not like the idea of using them to, especially if it hurts them, kind of thing. But anyway, this is what they found. So they found it was to promote hair growth while it increased the insulin-like growth factor, one of the hormones that's very, very important for growing new cells, and vascular endothelial growth factor, important factors for hair growth. So these are just the couple of, biochemicals that the scientists mentioned. These scientific, studies that I always read over, I have to just summarize as much as possible because they truly go into in depth as to all the biochemicals the body produces, and they'll tell you the pathways, from one biochemical to another to the end task or the end product that goes on in the body. But in keeping with this idea of growing hair, I just thought I would mention those two for you. Also, it was demonstrated to inhibit dihydrotestosterone or DHT from binding to androgen receptors in the hair follicles. So we have these receptor sites on the cells, and so they're always monitoring and determining what should go inside the inner world of our cells, where life happens, where we are kept alive and thriving. Okay, so rosemary extract showed an increase in hair growth after the 16th day of treatment compared to the control group that did not receive any treatment. So you've got two groups, right? One of them that is being applied the amount, the things that are being studied, and the other is the control group where they do not receive any treatment at all. So that's where you can tell the differences. So in vitro assay in human prostate, and again, don't let this intimidate you, the LNCAP cells, those are just the lineage of cells that have been tested in the laboratory, generations upon generations of those same cells. And so, of course, they're the perfect medium to do testing on, right? So they have to label them, and that's all that is, different kinds of cells. So these were taken from the human prostate, and that's what they labeled those kinds of cells in the laboratory. So anyhow, I'm just not going to just keep reading all of these phytochemicals, right? But they had a key role in the inhibition of the 5-alpha reductive or 5-AR enzyme. So keep that 5A reductive enzyme in mind because that's going to come up quite a bit throughout this presentation. All right, so these are the receptors. They were just studying, what happens to the cell receptor sites in these cell lines. Longer studies are needed and with human subjects to further study this and other molecular pathways involved in hair regrowth. So, these botanicals have been analyzed throughout the world for many years from one perspective to another, whether it's cancer or heart disease or diabetes or any other health issues. So botanicals are very pan-systemic because they have a huge array of different phytochemical compounds in them that have been shown to be very beneficial for our health, for different body systems, for detoxifying, for, just aiding the immune system, and they do so much for our body. So this is just one botanical so far that I've covered. So I'm going to go a little bit faster with the rest of them. So saw palmetto is another one, and it's known for adjusting the male libido and reproductive hormones, things like that. So I'm pretty familiar with a lot of these botanicals because I've been studying them for so long. But in this case, when it comes to hair growth, this is what I found. A comprehensive review explored the impact that saw palmetto had on the androgenic alopecia, or AGA, indicated that it would enhance hair count, density, and quality, showing a 27% increase in total hair count. So they reported a 60% improvement in overall hair quality. Hair density was improved in most of the patients, and it did not have any adverse effects already. So the plant world is a lot safer. In fact, it's 99% safe, unless someone takes too much of one extract of one botanical, then that could become a problem. But if you use the whole plant, then that's going to be a lot safer. There are countermeasures already in place in all these botanicals. That's just an inborn in them. So there was another study, here are all the studies that I looked at, the randomized clinical trial. Saw palmetto stabilized the AGA progression in over half of the cases, which is pretty good. And in another smaller study of 26 participants, it slowed down hair loss and increased hair density, or the thickness. And another study, 38% of participants experienced noticeable increase in hair density as well. So, it had all kinds of impacts on a condition known as telogen effluvium. So they found that to be promising. It's where the hairs prematurely enter a resting phase, the telogen phase. So I'm going to be mentioning the different phases that the hair goes through: the growth phases, the resting phases, the degenerative phases, and the phases where the spent hair follicle releases the hair. Okay, so that's let's see, thins the hair rather than creating baldness. So yeah, that's the difference. Sometimes people's hair start falling out and they think they're just getting alopecia, when in fact many nutritional factors are missing, and many other factors come into play when it comes to losing one's hair. All of a sudden, you can pull out your hair and by the handful. At least some people have said that, but that doesn't mean necessarily that they're going bald. Okay, so onion juice is another one. So it's long been established, in treating autoimmune disorder. Alopecia areata, another form of losing of hair loss, is actually an autoimmune disorder. So it has to do with the immune system malfunctioning. So, onion juice is a very all-around healing food because of its sulfur compounds, and it's very high in sulfur. So it's believed to promote hair growth, and it's an essential component for forming keratin. So we have to eat foods that are high in sulfur, the animal-derived proteins, eggs, many of the foods that we eat, nuts and seeds, things like that, and a lot of the plant, the herbs, like the onion and such. So, yeah, the protein structure is crucial for the hair and the strength when you have to create keratin in the body. So sulfur is one of the main components for creating keratin. It's rich in antioxidants, flavonoids like quercetin, anti-inflammatories, antioxidants, reduces the oxidative stress. In other words, it's an antioxidant, stress on the scalp, aiding in healthy hair growth. Okay, so it also has, all these phenolic phytochemical compounds that are going to help trigger hair growth. And these can be taken internally. Some people have used topical applications, but it's pretty remarkable. So here I list another study. I want to just show you that there are many, many studies that have been done on these botanicals. That 62 participants were assessed on this topical raw onion juice over an 8-week period, right? So 45 people applied the juice to their scalps, and 17 people used plain water. So that was the control group. And then the results were that 87% of them that applied the onion juice actually experienced complete hair restoration compared to the 13% in the placebo group. So larger studies are needed to confirm these findings. So, when I did the research on the subject of alopecia, I felt like there was scant information compared to all the other aspects of these botanicals as far as hair growth, right? So I know that the subject is wide open for scientists out there to continue to verify that these studies are correct. Well, obviously you can see if your hair is regrowing after applying the onion juice or the other botanicals, then of course you have to find a strong association with that, right? So that's a good outcome. Korean red ginseng or Panax ginseng, also another great antioxidant. It has so many different properties too, just like the other botanicals. And I just couldn't help listing the anti-cancer, anti-diabetes aspects of it as well. So then here's another study, over a 12-week period. So this time, one group received the corticosteroid intralesional injections. So, and of course, they were not humans, they were animals. And the other group received the same injections with the ginseng supplementation. Or maybe this was a human study, I can't remember now, but if they were given supplementation, that was probably a human study. Okay, global standard photographs of a bald scalp showed significantly better improvement in hair regrowth in those who received the ILA and ginseng supplements instead of just the ILI injections alone. So a lot of these studies used, the drug aspects of it along with these botanicals and produced, sometimes they produced the same results as the only using the botanical. So it goes to show you that how much are the drugs, what good are they having really if, the result of a study has just the botanical equaling the combination of, right? Okay, so, all right, so here we go. More cohort studies, active compounds, and the ginseng. Now, the compounds that are unique to the ginsengs are the ginsenosides, and they increase scalp circulation. They enhance nutrient delivery to the hair follicles. They reduce inflammation and the oxidative stress. They help regulate the hair growth cycle, which we'll go into, particularly extending the anagen growth or the growth phase. All right, so, and there's another study that found, success as well. And they found, though, this is a good one, the study suggested the positive effects were due to the KRG's actions of inhibiting that 5-alpha reductase enzyme that converts testosterone to the dihydrotestosterone. So we don't want that pathway. We do not want the 5-A reductase enzyme converting it, the testosterone that's healthy and normal in the body, both male and female, different amounts, of course, to this dihydrotestosterone. So that's a main factor in hair loss. All right, so here's pumpkin seed oil. Some of these botanicals with these types of fatty acids in them, if you extract the oils, they're extremely beneficial. And they found that it actually helps grow or prevent the 5-alpha reductase, being converted to the DHT. So those are other aspects of another plant that will help that prevent that process as well. So these are the different fatty acids that has the gamma-linolenic acid and all these other omega-3s and omega-6s in there. So here's another study involving 76 men. They were treated with the pumpkin seed oil, and they experienced more hair growth in the placebo group. The average hair count increased 40% compared to only 10% in the placebo-treated group. It was determined that the pumpkin seed oil can aid in promoting hair growth and preventing shrinking of the hair follicles by adjusting the hormonal conditions in the scalp. That's very important to have a healthy diet in the right types of fats so that your body can produce the right types of hormones in the right balance and just regulate, all these cellular processes, including that of the scalp. So here's the nutritional breakdown real quick, just high in essential fatty acids, vitamins and minerals, all these wonderful plant chemicals, phytochemical antioxidants, all of which contribute to scalp nourishment because you have to deliver these nutrients to every area, aspect of the body, every area, every system. Okay, now here's a substance that I'd never heard about, azelaic acid. It's a type of naturally occurring dicarboxylic acid primarily made in the liver and the kidneys. So it's an organic acid made in the body that I had never heard of before in my 45 years of research. So this is something great. Maybe it was recently discovered. I don't know. They didn't say. So it's gained a lot of attention as a potential treatment for female pattern loss. Uh, it was okay. They say where it comes from the fungal Mycelia pyrosporum. So you never know what the plant kingdom can produce, but also, from what I understand, the body produces it. Okay, the azelaic acid, I still don't know how to pronounce it, azelaic, I think that's what it is present in rye, wheat, and barley and other crops. You know, it's got positive effects on hair growth. It helps avoid hair loss because it inhibits the 5A reductase enzyme. Uh, and it controls the GLI1 and GLI2 proteins that are critical for regulating hair growth. So, you know, our body has messenger proteins, all sorts of proteins circulating in the body. And these complex molecules do so many different things in the body. So in this case, they were labeled GLI1 and GLI2 proteins. So they found that they were great for regulating hair growth. Protects hair cells from ultraviolet B damage, aiding the integrity of robustness of hair follicles. And here's another study involving women. You know, they just divided them up and see what worked best. And it looks like the azelaic acid's got a better safety record than some of the drugs like the minoxidil. Olive oil, you know, these plant oils are apparently very phenomenal as long as you don't heat them, as long as you buy the organic ones. You don't want the pesticide-ridden oils. You don't want the oils that are not organic because they contain all these additives that are toxic. If you haven't seen my video on toxic additives, please see it on this channel. So yeah, it's mostly in the oils because the oils are more concentrated, right? So the olive oil has been used in hair products forever. When you buy an organic hair product, you're going to see olive oil in there. And it's used for different scalp issues like dandruff and inflammation. It moisturizes the scalp. It's antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory. You know, it has vitamin E, all the mixed tocopherols, the natural forms of vitamin E in there, and the omega-3 fatty acids, the essentials. So yeah, I mean, it's a great combination of the fat-soluble vitamins so that your body can absorb them and build better structures in your cells and help build a better balance of hormones in the body. So they're saying that just massaging it into the scalp increases blood circulation, and that's going to apparently promote hair growth, reducing hair loss. So it's amazing what our skin can actually absorb, isn't it? All right. And again, every time I saw some of the studies, they always state more research is done, more rigorous studies are needed, more clinical trials, more long-term studies are needed, kind of thing. So this is true for every botanical when it comes to regrowing hair. Here's another oil, coconut oil, same thing, right? It has a different fatty acid, lauric acid. That's the main component, which makes coconut oil apparently unique. Every plant has its unique components. And so they said it can penetrate the hair shaft more readily than other larger molecular fatty acid structures. So it reduces protein loss, protects hair from damage. It enters the hair's cortex and cuticle, right down there at the cellular level where it binds to proteins in the hair, especially the keratin filaments, preventing high growth fatigue or swelling and shrinking that weakens and damages hair. We'll be looking at photographs, you know, or images about what it actually looks like. All right, so and you know, if you're in the chlorine pool or you're swimming in the ocean a lot and your hair is exposed to water, you know, excessively, then that can also weaken and damage the hair. So the coconut oil can protect the hair, you know, maintaining the hair length, and it's got all these antimicrobial properties. All righty, so henna, it's a plant containing a natural dye used for coloring hair, and it's been found to strengthen the hair, improve the hair texture, prevent dandruff, so it's going to nourish and you know, properly lubricate the scalp. So all hair types showed an increase in diameter. So looking at a hair strand under the microscope, they can tell how healthy the hair is by its diameter. and it indicated it may aid in strengthening and thickening of the hair fibers. So it gives hair a smoother, healthier look and prevents effects on the hair shaft structure. So it's antifungal, antimicrobial, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory. So all these different studies that reviewed it, used it to treat dandruff, irritation, and hair loss. And here's another 30-day study that they presented how it just prevents the 5-alpha reductase type 2 enzyme. Apparently there's different types from turning testosterone into the DHT. Okay, so that's a little bit more here. Yeah, just a couple more. Okay, so honey, of all things, right? You can find honey in a lot of hair care and skincare products, but here's the same thing. I'm not going to reiterate what I've already said, but a lot of it was redundant in some of these botanicals and how they've been applied. But what usually came up was to inhibit that 5-alpha, 5-alpha reductase enzyme. So, again, honey, if you haven't seen my video on sweeteners, honey is major, especially if you buy the organic. You do not want to buy any other honey because they're too adulterated with all these different toxic chemicals in them. If you look at the ingredients in honey, all it should say is organic honey, period. And if you buy the raw honey, then it's much more active in its bioactive compounds. So it's much more beneficial for your health. So anyhow, honey was used and they found that it stimulates hair follicles to grow new hair and improve hair density. It can remove the inflammation. They're talking about swollen scalp pustules and patchy hair loss. So they tried it on all these different studies, different groups of humans, and found it to be very beneficial for reducing scalp inflammation and promoting wound healing. As you can see, I'm jumping around here because I want to make sure I cover everything tonight. So other researchers examined honey in the skin and hair care products, noting its effects on the hair softness and shine and manageability. Okay, and it's, all these other potential side effects of using honey in hair care products include, now they're talking about hair care products that you buy, on off the shelf, and they may have other ingredients. And so for some reason, some people have reported allergic reactions. And it could be some of the other chemicals in the body care products. Honey by itself would not give you those kinds of reactions. Okay, so rice bran extract. Now, rice is an extremely important non-inflammatory kind of grain that most people can eat without any problems. So it's rich in a certain kind of sugar alcohol called inositol, and that's important for the structure of your cells, the cell membrane, and for nerve signaling. So it's like a precursor to the neurotransmitters in the nervous system. So they talk about how nourishing it is to the hair, right, and the vitamins that are in it, and just all in all, good for the scalp and good for the hair. So there's a study that's been shown to inhibit the 5-alpha reductase enzyme. The more variety of foods you eat, and the more whole the food is, not refined, then it's better able to retain its nutrients, which your body desperately needs for the microcirculation in all areas of the body, including your scalp. Okay, so yeah, again, they say more research is needed, but they're doing their best. The scientists have discovered quite a bit so far, and it is promising. So other countries like Japan, have applied some of these and actually have taken photographs. I'll show you photographs of the befores and after. So ashwagandha is another one, antioxidant, memory enhancing, sleep inducing, anxiolytic properties. Sometimes I just have to throw in the other aspects of what these wonderful botanicals can do for you. They help lower the stress hormone cortisol, which can disrupt hair growth and lead to hair thinning. It stimulates the body's production of the dehydro. This is a new one I throw in. Oh, everybody has probably seen the DHEA, but it stands for hydroepiandrosterone. That's a mouthful. So if you break the words down a little bit by syllable, then they're much easier to pronounce, right? So that strengthens the hair and prevents breakage also. So your body wants to, you want to have your body produce DHEA. So here's a study in India. These were done on rats, and results showed hair growth initiation occurred earlier than in the control group that only received aloe vera gel. Aloe vera is another great plant, but that's another subject altogether. In the control group, the hair growth initiation phase was observed on the 11th day of the study. So, it was a lot longer. Well, not a lot longer. It looks like they found the hair growth with the ashwagandha on the 10th day, the growth initiation phase. So, yeah, we'll look at the different phases again, like I mentioned. Longer term studies are needed to provide more data as to the safety of the ashwagandha extracts. So yeah, I mean, it's ongoing, and every once in a while you'll want to check to see what the latest research is. When you do a search on the internet, always include the search phrase science journal at the end of your search phrase so you don't get misinformation. It's very important to stick to what the credible scientific world is doing. Okay, so we've got the amla berry. I think that was the last one here. Yeah, then we'll get into the other aspects of it. How are we doing on time? We're doing okay. So the amla, it's rich in a wide range of these phytochemical compounds, and these are so familiar to me. These are major classifications, and there are sub-classifications and sub-sub-classifications of plant chemicals that have been categorized and studied. So this is just a handful of what the amla berry has. Most of the other botanicals in the world have some form of these. Now, the amino acids are actually the foundation for building proteins. So when you digest a protein, it's reduced to amino acids, so your body can build new body proteins with the amino acids. So if a plant has an amino acid in it or two, and they call it a protein, that's actually incorrect because it's not a complete protein. We can't produce 9 of the essential amino acids. We have to get them from food, mostly from animal-derived proteins, because they're complete proteins. They contain all 9. But if you eat from plants, then it's difficult to put together all of the amino acids the body needs at every moment, to build new proteins. All right, so your whole body is composed of proteins. All right, so yeah, so they're studying it, and it shows potential for benefits for hair health. So then another study was done. Here's another study. So they found that the antioxidants protect the hair follicles from free radical damage. Free radicals, if you've been watching my videos, you know that free radicals are anything that doesn't belong in the body. Synthetics, even our own stress hormones we produce are called free radicals because they go around and they damage healthy cells. So it's been found the antioxidants that are listed here have been found to prevent hair loss and reduce inflammation in the scalp. And anytime you reduce inflammation, that means you're nourishing and you're helping the cells replicate properly, and they're functioning properly. So you're not going to have inflammation once that occurs, and then you're going to have healthy hair growth. All right, so let's see, recent trials provide promising evidence of amla syrup effectiveness in treating female androgenic alopecia. However, further research is needed. All right, so yes, scientists out there, please do your research and report to us. So let me show you a little example. These are another set of botanicals. Some of them have already been talked about with this other peer-reviewed study above, but this is a different study. And so they listed all these different botanicals that weren't listed above. And so they found that this was the before and after result for this. So I don't know if you can read this. I know it's small, but the first phase is the growth phase, anagen. And then it's the, gosh, I can't even see it. Transition phase. All right, so it's transitioning, it's aging. And this is called the catagen phase. And then the telogen phase is the resting phase. Hair doesn't constantly grow all the time. It goes through this resting phase. And the exogen is the shedding phase. So as you can see, the hair follicle starts aging and starts shrinking. So uncontrolled hair loss leads to baldness. And weak hair reasons are medical disorder, hormonal imbalance, age-related changes in hair texture and density, autoimmune disease, drugs, and heredity. Does that mean if you inherited, alopecia, does that mean you're stuck with it? I don't know. That the jury is out. There's hope. It seems like there's a lot of hope for people out there. But, I think bald is beautiful. A lot of handsome men out there don't have hair. And so, it's up to the person if they want to try this. But here's another chart that these scientists, wonderful scientists, when they create tables like this, it's so much easier, right? And so I left their scientific references. You can go to any one of these references and look at the scientific research that they pull this from. So I left those references in there. If you are not a member, you won't have access to this document and all of the scientific references that you can go and explore what the scientists actually did. This is just a summary. Those of you who are members, then you, of course, have this, you can download this from your back office, or not your back office, but your member area. So I will, those out there who are not members, I can show you how to join if you'd like. Okay, so now they tested the amla or Indian gooseberry, Brahmi. Some of these are not that familiar to me. I actually found a couple of botanicals that I wasn't familiar with, but I used to grow hyssop, so I know that one. The tapaswami, some of these are from other countries, right? The fenugreek, that's a very delicious herb. Rose mallow, there's a lot of them, so I'm just going to pick out the ones that I'm familiar with. But yeah, I mean, they'll give you the scientific name, which is the universal name throughout the world for identifying a particular plant, and that is very, very important. And their mechanism of action. So as you can see, a lot of them are going to inhibit the 5-alpha reductase enzyme. All right, so daisy and aster flowers, the Rami, Himalayan boxwood, maidenhair tree. I have not studied these botanicals here, but I have studied some of them. Coconut, Brahmi, I don't know how to pronounce that. Bringra, that sounds interesting. The ginseng, radix, the sage oil, holy basil, and tulsi, jojoba oil, Japanese fern spores. That's strange, isn't it? So then, you've got all of these wonderful botanicals that have been studied extensively by the scientific community. There's onion, a tuber fleece flower, and then peppers, which are very important anti-inflammatories. They increase circulation. That should be good, right? Northern white cedar, grape seeds, and blueberry. Eat your berries, everyone, and make sure they're raw. Do not cook them. Do not freeze them. If they're raw, and you can freeze them, before they go bad on you, but you should consume them right away as much as possible, and you won't have to worry about them going bad on you. If you buy the organic ones, they last a lot longer than the pesticide sprayed ones. They're just, healthier. Green tea, that is extremely important. It's a universal herb that everyone loves, and just take it in and, just nourish your body with it. It's just one of those greater superfoods that are so impressive. Okay, so now let's take a look at the nutritional status of the individual and why this happens. So nutrient deficiencies can occur over generations. So if someone is going to inherit a gene from an ancestor, heck, they could inherit it from an ancestor several generations back. Sometimes they just pop up in the current generation, so you never know. But yeah, so the quality and quantity of your hair depends on the nutritional status, and a normal intake or uptake and transport of essential nutrients from whole foods, not processed foods, including the proteins, the minerals, the vitamins, and the raw food enzymes. I can never emphasize that enough. They're fundamental to nourishing and promoting this biosynthesis of hair growth by your hair follicles. So the hair shaft is composed of entirely of keratin protein, almost. In order to create more of this protein, you need the complete amino acids in your diet, all 9 essential amino acids from protein foods. Okay, so if a plant is called a protein food, that's incorrect, because no plant on earth has the abundant amount of the essential amino acids in them all at one time. They might, there's a couple of plants out there that do have all of them, but they're very small amounts, and they're not in balance with the other nutrients that you find in animal foods. Okay, so the fuel that's required, or the caloric value that's required of the whole food carbohydrates, not refined carbohydrates, the whole foods like the roots and the whole grains and the beans and legumes, things like that, in order to synthesize or build this protein, complete amino acid profile, protein foods must be eaten. And that's another thing I cannot emphasize enough. You will get weak, your immune system will suffer, your hair won't grow, your nails won't grow, your skin will look bad. I mean, you'll be physically weak, and you won't be able to have an active, excited life, because you will be too tired to do anything, right? So we have to take care of that. The fuel that's required, or the caloric value of whole food carbohydrates and whole food fats containing the sufficient supplies of yet vitamins and minerals, is essential for the energy metabolism of the hair follicle. So every one of our cells have these little microscopic organs, organelles inside every cell, and some of the organelles actually are responsible for generating energy. So we need the carbohydrates and the fatty acids. They're the energy components of our diet. So a study found that the derma hair papilla cells, and I'll show you a photograph of that down here, loss of proliferative capacity was associated with changes in cell development, degenerative markers, including indicating oxidative stress, DNA damage. That is the worst. You do not want any damage to your DNA. Those are the instructions that run the entire body. Sensitivity to environmental stressors like cigarette smoke, ultraviolet radiation. So nutritional therapy, the scientists are finally starting to wake up and realize that the body needs nutrients in order to function at the microcell level. That's where everything goes wrong or everything goes right. So they're finally getting around to realizing, wow, I think the cells need nourishment, not drugs necessarily. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not advocating anyone get off of their drugs, but nourish your body and see what happens. See what your doctors say. They will scratch their heads in amazement and they will take you off the meds. That's just the pattern I've seen for 45 years. When you nourish the body, the doctors say, oh, well, I guess you don't need this anymore. And they take them off the meds. Okay, but I'm not advocating that at all. I'm not in the position to do that. All right, so nutritional therapy presents new opportunities for further scientific research. There it is again. We need more research scientists out there, and good luck getting the funding. That's what we really need to pray for, is that they get the proper funding so they can have more information out there for us. These healing modalities, these healing nutritional protocols. So, yeah, I mean, you can fix anything with nutrients from what I've found when I created science-based nutritional protocols for my clients over the years. Once you nourish the body, it knows how to fix everything, just about everything. Like Linus Pauling, famous two-time Nobel Peace Prize winner, always said 99.9% of the health issues are because of nutrient deficiencies. And I have found that to be so true over and over again. All right, so yeah, I mean, you can correct genetic imbalances, sex hormone metabolism. You can fix your microbial flora in the gut. You have to have a good beneficial aerobic bacteria in the gut, in the lower intestine environment. Endogenous and exogenous stress. You can handle stress better, and your body won't produce stress chemicals. Microinflammation. Your body won't have to have the inflammatory responses if it's functioning properly because it's nourished properly. Okay, so people try to take keratin supplements. That does not help hair growth because any kind of protein that enters the stomach is broken down into amino acids, and your body's DNA will determine what needs fixing, what needs rebuilding, and it's not necessarily going to go to the hair. There are much higher priority items in the body that might need, certain proteins out of those amino acids that it needs to make a protein out of. All right, so B complex supplements ingestion actually did show improvement and normalized the anagen hair rates within 6 months, while the placebo did not. So get yourself a whole food vitamin B complex. I have an excellent array of supplements on my website at holisticchoices.com. Click on the supplements link on the side, and it'll take you to the supplements that I offer. None of them are redundant. It's a whole range of essential nutrients in the best absorbable form, and so you will find them to be very beneficial. Okay, researchers provided evidence for a combination therapy of nutrients. So they're just getting around to, saying, okay, let's give them some vitamins and minerals and see what happens. Well, it worked better than the drugs. It happens. I've seen that so many times. So these poor test animals were exposed to cigarette smoke, and they found that their hair loss could be prevented by oral intake of various nutrients. If you know anyone who's ever been a smoker and taking supplements, it actually protects their health. I actually did have someone on my husband's side of the family that was a smoker, and she actually took supplements all her life, and she never got cancer. She had a nice head of hair. It was crazy. But I do not advocate smoking at all, because if you've seen my other video on this channel on the toxicities of, smoking, then you'll know that it chokes off the oxygen supply. And once you get no oxygen delivery to your cells, then they start dying off very, very quickly. So there's a lot of problems with that. But yeah, maybe she was an exception, but I definitely do not advocate that at all. So other researchers provided in vitro evidence, which is the laboratory cell cultures, that a nourishing environment protects the hair, effect on hair growth against environmental stress, that kind of thing. So again, they're testing for this disease, telogen effluvium, the 5 to 6 week resting, not disease, 5 to 6 week resting of hair growth phase. All right, so now, so this goes on to talk about androgens and the dihydrotestosterone. So scientists, like I said, they're figuring out, well, these aren't the only metabolic pathways that lead to hair loss. There's other ways that people are losing their hair. So, all these factors, internal and external, nutrient deficiencies, and pollution, pesticides, all this contamination, and the body producing the stress, the reactive oxygen species. So anytime your body is under severe stress, then it will produce this chemical. Non-hormonal factors, influencing the metabolic interactions, like maintaining a healthy cell environment. So, and then they talk about hair growth arrest in the telogen effluvium phase during stress, sickness, autoimmune conditions, exertion, and health recovery. So all these factors can affect hair growth. And when there's nutrient density, then the body conserves nutrients by restricting hair growth. So you don't want to restrict hair growth, just nourish yourself abundantly, and then there'll be enough nutrients left over for the less less life-threatening kind of areas in the body. So the heart and the kidneys, the brain, all those take first priority. And yeah, I forgot to, oh, here it is. Okay, I need to plug in my laptop. I usually have it all plugged in. Sorry about that. Hold on one second. Okay. All right, so yeah, oops, it went up, didn't it? Okay. So here are some non-hormonal causal factors, and there's this whole list that I'm sure we've already gone over tonight. Things like blow drying, post-pregnancy hair loss, that's usually a nutrient deficiency and a hormonal imbalance. Overusing synthetic hair care products, even pressurized airline cabins, so people who fly a lot might be more along with other factors. That's not the only thing that's going to make you lose your hair, of course. If you fly a lot and you still have a good head of hair, obviously that's not the only problem, right? Liver and kidney malfunctions. I'm reading this backwards, going from the bottom up, because all the ones that are on the top we've already gone over. Sleep deprivation, prolonged illness, crash dieting, starvation dieting. Please do not starve your body. Dust pollution, all that, we've gone over that. Inadequate fluid intake, especially chemically pure water, purified spring water. Do not drink tap water, do not drink distilled water. Air conditioning, a fat-free diet. Your body definitely cannot withhold the structure of your 37 trillion cells without the fats in your diet, the right fats. Okay, do not fry your foods. Do not stir fry your foods. Always refrigerate your healthy oils, and try to stick to the omega-3 fatty acid oils like the avocado and the olive oil, and various fruits like bananas and apricots and avocados. So those all have the right balance of the right kinds of fats. So, do not cook your food if at all possible, because you need those enzymes to digest and utilize the nutrients in those very foods themselves. Okay, so rather than fighting hair loss with long-term use of dihydrotestosterone blockers, like those drugs are, and other medications with their adverse side effects, focusing on nourishing the hair roots and promoting better growth, involving nutrient-dense nutrition, scalp hygiene, and stimulation is clinically effective. So, don't overdo it. Don't scrub your hair to death every single day. Don't use harsh shampoos. Try to stick to the organic products. They're a lot gentler on the scalp. And wash your hair as often as you feel like it's necessary, right? Everybody knows what dirty hair feels like. So you don't want to clog your pores, at that level. So, this is just what the scientists are arriving at. Their conclusions are saying, there's much better ways of trying to deal with this situation. All right, so they're talking about oxidative stress, all these different types of stress that we've already talked about, even lack of sleep, I think I've already mentioned that, lifestyle, erratic, especially for young people, they don't take care of themselves. They don't have the information at all. They can't even relate to their bodies. They don't know how their bodies work. They don't know why nourishment is so important. So it's time that we learn this so that we can teach our youth and give them a chance at having much healthier lives. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to enlarge this again. This is a little bit more information about the hair growth. So 10 to 12% of the hair is in the telogen phase. So this is the resting phase, and 1% is in the catagen phase. Okay, so this is going to be a phase where it will start transitioning from one to the other, from the growth phase to the resting phase. And that'll be about 1 to 2 weeks. And 87 to 89% of the hair not in the telogen or catagen phases and in the anagen phase is allowed to grow. So this is the only phase where the follicles will produce hair. So here's another study. They used vitamin and mineral supplements. They found that it prevented inflammation. So this is starting to be a little bit redundant, and that's a good thing in the scientific world. You want the scientific research, world to come up with the same conclusions that, in this case, nutrients are important for hair growth. All right, so transcription of DNA, transferring factors in newly forming cells during cell replication. That's always the fundamental importance of nourishing yourself so that your genetic code of instructions in your DNA can give the right instructions, especially when it starts replicating its own cells, and you want that DNA information transferred to the new cell intact. And then there's this thing called epigenetic modulation. It doesn't change the basic codes of your DNA, but as your life goes on and you respond to different things, then there's new types of DNA that forms that attach themselves to your foundational DNA, and that can control all these different activations in your genes for different functions. And so these come and go. They're not permanent like your DNA basically is. Also, maintaining efficient immune cells, being nourished again to stay resistant to infections and things like that. So, they're just talking about all these deficiencies that crop up when you don't have the kinds of nutrients the body needs. And again, they must be whole food. Do not buy isolated nutrients because they don't work in the body. They have to be in a synergistic whole food form in order to be very, very effective for building properly functioning cells. So they discovered that zinc deficiencies can lead to early cell death. And then vitamins A and D, they're precursors to hormone synthesis. That's something I've always taught. So yeah, you want to maintain the structure of all of your cells, including that in your hair. And so the dermal papilla cells, that's just the little bulb down here at the bottom that they referred to earlier. Okay. So these are directly modulated by, as you can see, the fat-soluble vitamins A and D. And if you do buy a D3 supplement, just go out in the sun. That's much better for you. Your body will manufacture the cholecalciferol, the right form of vitamin D, which is vitamin D3. Some people do take vitamin D3 supplements just to make sure, but do not overdose. Always follow the manufacturer's instructions as far as how much you need to take. Too much of the fatty acid or the fat soluble vitamins can be toxic to the liver. Okay, so a little picture of the papilla. So again, they're constantly finding out the vitamins. The vitamins are very important too, and mineral analysis too. They've done mineral analysis on hair strands, and they can tell who's low in some of the minerals. Like in this study, they found that hair loss patients with male pattern alopecia had lower levels of the minerals zinc, copper, iron, and manganese in their hair, blood serum, and the urine. So these are some major, except for the iron, these are, and copper also, those are the micro minerals, but the zinc and the manganese. Those are very important too. But again, you can't utilize these individually. You have to have them in whole food form or whole food supplement form. All right, so it affected cell division, DNA metabolism, all of that. So they concluded that these anti-androgen treatments are not the only basis for treating hair loss, that correcting nutrient deficiencies are fundamental to hair regrowth. So here's some photographs of someone who was in a clinical nutrition therapy program. So they measured the hair, and this was like over a 1-year period for every, it was repeated, the treatment was repeated every 2 months for 1 year. So they got 6 treatments, and this is what helped them with their hair growth. Pretty remarkable, isn't it? Okay, so these are all the scientific references. Again, if you're not a member yet, it's important to just take a look at the scientific literature that I derive all this information from for you every single week, because you have to maintain the factual data. You can't go on the internet and just take all this information in. It's disinformation, misinformation, advertising hype. Don't fall for these infomercials that sell you very limited types of formulations and act like it's a be all and end all. It'll solve your health issues. That's a huge red flag. Your body takes a lot more, and it takes a lot longer to regenerate itself. So you've got to constantly nourish it properly. The full range of all known nutrients, all the vitamins, all the minerals, as many raw foods as you can, so you can get the active phytochemical compounds in the body to do all of their work, and the enzymes that will help digest those very foods and help you utilize the nutrients that much better. Okay, so these are the scientific references, and again, they're huge, studies that combine all the best clinical studies that they've gathered together for you. So here are the books that I offer, my own nutritional synergy system that I devised many years ago, that my clients and my students and my audiences have used to improve their health. It's a much more comprehensive food selection system than your average diet out there, and so you'll get the full range of nutrients. I compiled a book called Potent Superfoods for Lifelong True Health. If you want to know more about the complete medicinal and healing qualities of 109 botanicals, then this is a scientific desk reference for you. If you want to lose weight or build muscle and stay strong and lean and youthful, then eating for physical power and stamina is what you want. If you're new to the holistic field, if you're new to holistic nutrition and the idea of improving your body, recovering your health just by nourishment, then you want the True Health Mastery book, and that's a pretty good introduction or primer to introducing you to why it's so important to nourish your body. And then, of course, I put together a supplements book some time ago for a friend who is a trainer, and it's a little book too, but it's quite packed with what to look for in supplements. And while we're here, please subscribe and tap that notification bell, and do tap the like icon there, because that puts this video in front of so many more people who desperately need this information. So every week I put together some very important information so that you can master your health, so that you don't have to get snowed by the misinformation out there. Even people in the medical profession don't always, they don't have a lot of the kind of education that one needs to know how to nourish their body properly and maintain it and protect it. Okay, so again, please subscribe to the channel so that you won't miss another weekly announcement for different subjects that I cover. And if you'd like to join the True Health Mastery Institute of Holistic Personal Health Management, as I have a couple of wonderful members here with me tonight, then this is where you go, holisticchoices.com, and you click on True Health Mastery Institute, and it'll give you a good description of all the perks and advantages of being a member. I take very good care of my members. I take special care to address their health needs. And so it's much easier than sitting down one-on-one that I did for 30 years. I had a practice, and I was sitting down with every client one-on-one for 3 to 4 to 5, 6 hours. The longest session I ever had was 7 hours long, but people ate up this information because they never were getting it from anywhere else. So if you want to maintain your health and get the right information so that you have this beeline shortcut to the right information so you can get your health under control, then this is what you want. We have generations coming up that are going to be desperate because as the generations have gone from one generation to another in the last 100 years, people's health has been diminishing gradually. And so more toxins have been in the environment the last 30 years, and so that's showing up in so many different forms of degenerative diseased conditions in the body. So this is the only way your cells can recognize to restore them to proper functioning, repairing the DNA genetic material instructions that operate the body, and just constantly and naturally eating foods that will protect you from all the toxins in these different kinds of environments and consumer products. Toxins are everywhere. And if you've seen the videos on this channel, you'll see just where and everywhere these toxins are. So we as consumers can say no. We can choose only supplements and products that are good for us and not poison us. Desperate, definitely. So that's my little soapbox that I tended to go on sometimes. This is I don't usually do this to this extent, but I just feel like it's very important for people to understand how important this information is that I'm sharing with everyone. All right, so yeah, this is if you look at this page, then you'll see all of the advantages you have as being a very highly knowledgeable person as an Institute member. Okay, so yeah, it's really easy to join. Just click on join here, and the process is very simple. And you'll have access to the libraries and the videos, the articles, everything that's in the members area for you. All right, and it's $12.97 a month. You can quit at any time, just month to month. If you don't like what you see, if you're not learning anything, that either it means that you don't care or you don't have time, but please make the time. This is your body, this is your health, this is your life. So it is transformational in every way. All right, so that's it for now. I'm going to say goodnight to my audience out there, and just want to make sure I stop the recording and don't hang up on my members here. we have great conversations after the recording is off too, so that I can further assist my members to make sure they are gathering the knowledge they need to master their health. All righty, so good night, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much.